One day, a student asked his teacher, why do people get angry so easily? The teacher smiled and said, because they forget who is in control. Anger is one of the most expensive emotions we carry. It costs us peace, clarity, relationships, health, and sometimes even our destiny. The problem is not that anger comes, it will come. The real problem is when anger becomes the decision maker of our life. Think about this. Whenever you are angry, are you actually powerful or are you controlled? Anger gives an illusion of strength, but in reality, it is weakness shouting loudly. The loudest voice in the room is often the most confused. Most people believe that anger makes them respected, but respect never comes from fear. It comes from stability. A calm person has an invisible authority. When someone can insult you and you still remain peaceful, you have already won the battle without fighting. Anger does not hurt the other person as much as it hurts you. It poisons your thoughts, disturbs your sleep, and steals your joy. The other person may move on, but you replay the scene again and again in your mind. That is self-punishment. Life will always give you reasons to get angry: traffic, people, delays, betrayal, misunderstanding. Maturity is choosing peace over reaction. You don't need to attend every argument you are invited to. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. When you stop reacting, you start responding. Reaction is automatic, emotional, and regretful. Response is thoughtful, conscious, and powerful. The gap between stimulus and response is where freedom lives. Anger makes small problems look big. Calmness makes big problems manageable. A calm mind can see solutions. An angry mind can only see enemies. The day you stop getting angry is the day you stop giving others control over your inner world. No one deserves that power except you. Winning in life is not about proving others wrong. It is about protecting your peace. And the greatest victory is inner mastery. That day, when anger no longer controls you, you truly win. Anger gives an illusion of power, but in reality, it takes control away from you. When anger rises, it feels like strength. The voice becomes louder, the chest tightens, and there is a sudden rush of energy that makes a person feel dominant, fearless, and in charge. At that moment, it seems as if anger is helping you stand up for yourself. But this feeling is deceptive. What actually happens is that anger hijacks your clarity. You are no longer choosing your actions, your emotions are choosing for you. Power is about control, and the moment anger controls you, power is already lost. True power is calm awareness. Anger pushes you into a reactive state where words come out without thought and actions happen without foresight. Later, when the storm settles, regret arrives. You replay the conversation in your mind and wish you had spoken differently or remained silent. This regret is proof that anger was never strength. It was a temporary loss of self-mastery. If anger were real power, it would not leave you feeling empty or ashamed afterward. Anger also narrows your vision. In an angry state, the mind becomes rigid and defensive. You stop listening, stop understanding, and stop seeing the bigger picture. Everything turns into a personal attack. Even neutral situations start feeling threatening. This is why anger often escalates conflicts instead of resolving them. When emotions dominate, logic steps aside. A powerful person does not lose perspective under pressure. An angry person does. There is also a silent cost to anger that many people ignore. Anger drains energy. It consumes mental space and emotional bandwidth. Hours are wasted thinking about what someone said or did. Sleep becomes restless. Peace disappears. Meanwhile, the other person may not even be thinking about the situation anymore. This means anger punishes the one who holds it, not the one who caused it. Their steadiness over time builds credibility. People respect consistency more than intensity. There is also a quiet confidence in calmness. Calm people do not need validation from others. They are not easily shaken by criticism or praise. Their sense of self is stable. This independence from external approval strengthens their authority. When someone is not desperate to be accepted, they naturally command respect. Calmness also disarms aggression. Anger feeds on reaction. When it does not receive it, it loses power. Calm response to hostility often surprises the other person, forcing them to reflect rather than attack. This ability to neutralize conflict without confrontation is a rare and valuable strength. Silent strength is not about controlling others. It is about mastering oneself. Calm people understand this deeply. Their authority is not forced. It is earned through presence, patience, and inner stability. Over time, their calmness becomes their signature and their strength speaks without noise. Anger hurts the one who holds it more than the one it is aimed at. When anger arises, it feels directed outward, as if it is a weapon meant to strike someone else. But in reality, the first and deepest wound is always internal. The body reacts instantly. The heart rate increases, breathing becomes shallow, muscles tighten, and stress hormones flood the system. This physical reaction may last a few minutes, but the impact lingers far longer, quietly affecting health, focus, and emotional balance. Most people believe that expressing anger will bring relief, but anger rarely leaves after being expressed. Instead, it settles inside as resentment. The mind replays the incident repeatedly, adding new details, new insults, and new justifications each time. Long after the other person has moved on, you remain stuck in the same emotional moment. This mental replay becomes a form of self-inflicted suffering. Your peace is disturbed not by the original event, but by your continued attachment to it. Anger also disrupts clarity. When you are angry, your thoughts become biased. You interpret situations through the lens of hurt and ego. Neutral actions feel like intentional disrespect. Words are misunderstood. Intentions are assumed rather than verified. This distorted perception leads to poor decisions that often create further problems. Later, when calm returns, you realize that the situation was not as serious as it felt. But by then, relationships may already be damaged. One of the most painful effects of anger is how it steals joy from the present moment. Even when good things are happening, anger keeps you mentally trapped elsewhere. You may be sitting with family, working on something important, or trying to rest, yet your mind is busy arguing with someone who is not even there. This emotional absence costs you moments that will never return. The person you are angry at may not know or care, but you pay the price every time. Anger also affects the body in silent ways. Prolonged anger increases stress levels, weakens immunity, and disrupts sleep. Tension becomes habitual. Fatigue sets in. Over time, this constant internal pressure can contribute to serious health issues. The body keeps score of emotional states and anger leaves its mark. Holding anger is like carrying a heavy weight everywhere you go. It slows you down, exhausts you, and makes simple tasks feel burdensome. Another hidden cost of anger is how it shapes identity. When anger becomes frequent, it turns into a personality trait. People begin to describe you as short-tempered or difficult. This affects how others approach you. Opportunities shrink, not because you lack talent, but because people prefer emotional safety. Anger may feel justified, but its consequences extend far beyond the moment. Forgiving or letting go is often misunderstood as weakness or approval of wrongdoing. In reality, letting go is an act of self-respect. It is the decision to stop hurting yourself for something you cannot change. It does not mean forgetting or allowing repeated harm. It means refusing to carry unnecessary pain. The greatest realization is that anger does not punish the person who caused it. It punishes the one who keeps it alive. When you release anger, you do not lose anything valuable. You regain energy, clarity, and peace. The moment you understand that anger hurts you more than anyone else, you begin choosing freedom over bitterness. Not every argument deserves your energy or attention. Everyday life places invitations in front of you. Some are opportunities and some are arguments. The mistake most people make is accepting every argument as if it is their responsibility to respond. But energy is limited. Attention is precious. Where you invest it determines the quality of your inner life. Engaging in every disagreement slowly drains peace without adding any real value. Arguments often begin from misunderstandings, ego clashes, or emotional triggers rather than genuine issues. Many people argue not to understand but to win. When you step into such situations, you are not entering a conversation. You are entering a battlefield of egos. No matter how logical or calm you are, the moment ego is involved, truth becomes secondary. Walking away from these arguments is not avoidance, it is intelligence. There is also a false belief that silence means acceptance or defeat. In reality, silence often means clarity. You do not owe everyone an explanation. You do not need to defend yourself against every accusation or comment. When you constantly explain yourself, you give others authority over your emotions. Choosing not to respond is sometimes the strongest response because it shows that your peace matters more than proving a point. Arguments consume mental space long after they end. Even if you think you have moved on, the mind continues the debate internally. You replay conversations, imagine better responses, and relive frustration. This mental noise steals focus from what truly deserves your attention: growth, relationships, creativity, and rest. The cost of one unnecessary argument is often several hours or even days of disturbed peace. Not every opinion requires your reaction. People speak from their own conditioning, experiences, and insecurities. Their words are reflections of their inner world, not verdicts about your worth. Not verdicts about your worth. When you react to every comment, you allow others to define your emotional state. But when you observe without reacting, you remain in control. Control over attention is one of the highest forms of freedom. There is also timing and readiness to consider. Some conversations cannot be productive because the other person is not emotionally ready to listen. In such moments, continuing the discussion only fuels conflict. Wisdom lies in recognizing when dialogue will heal and when it will harm. Just because you have a voice does not mean every situation requires you to use it. Protecting your energy does not mean avoiding all difficult conversations. It means choosing them wisely. Some discussions are necessary for boundaries, growth, and clarity. But these conversations come from calmness, not from impulsive reaction. They are intentional, respectful, and purposeful. The key difference is consciousness. You engage because it matters, not because your ego feels threatened. When you stop attending every argument, you create space for peace. You begin to notice how many conflicts were never about solutions, but about control. By stepping back, you deny chaos the fuel it needs to grow. Over time, people also learn that provoking you does not work. Your calm becomes your boundary. Life becomes lighter when you stop carrying the weight of unnecessary battles. You realize that winning every argument does not mean winning in life. True victory lies in choosing where your energy flows. When you protect your attention, you protect your peace, and that peace becomes your greatest strength. Reaction is emotional, response is intelligent. This simple distinction holds deep power over the quality of our decisions and the direction of our lives. A reaction happens instantly. It is driven by emotion, habit, and impulse. Something triggers us, and before we realize it, words are spoken, actions are taken, and damage is often done. A response, on the other hand, is conscious. It involves awareness, pause, and choice. That pause, however brief, changes everything. When you react, you hand over control to your emotions. The mind enters survival mode, and logic takes a backseat. In that moment, the goal is not understanding or resolution. It is emotional release. This is why reactions often feel satisfying at first but disappointing later. After the emotional surge fades, clarity returns, bringing regret and self-criticism. If reaction were wisdom, it would not leave behind guilt or broken relationships. Responses are built on awareness. A responding mind observes the situation before acting. It recognizes the emotion but does not become the emotion. Instead of asking, how do I express this anger? It asks, what is the best outcome here? This shift in thinking transforms conflict into communication. The intelligent response may still be firm, but it is never destructive. It aims to solve, not to wound. One of the biggest differences between reaction and response is time. Reaction demands immediacy. It says, do something now. Response allows space. It creates distance between the trigger and the action. In that space, wisdom operates. Even a few seconds of pause can prevent words that cannot be taken back. Silence in this context is not suppression. It is strategy. Reactions are repetitive because they come from conditioning. The same triggers produce the same outcomes again and again. This is why people often say, I don't know why I keep doing this. Responses break patterns. They require presence. When you respond instead of react, you step out of autopilot and into conscious living. This is how growth happens, not by changing circumstances, but by changing inner habits. Another key difference lies in ownership. Reactions blame external situations or people. Responses take responsibility. When you respond, you acknowledge your role in the interaction and choose your behavior intentionally. This responsibility is empowering. It shifts you from victimhood to leadership, even in small everyday moments. Intelligent responses also protect relationships. Most conflicts are not caused by the issue itself, but by the way it is handled. A reactive comment can escalate tension instantly. A thoughtful response can de-escalate even long-standing issues. People may forget what was said in anger, but they never forget how someone made them feel. Responding with calm creates emotional safety. Learning to respond instead of react is a practice. It requires self awareness, patience, and humility. It means accepting discomfort without immediately trying to escape it through expression. Over time, this practice strengthens emotional intelligence. You become less predictable, less triggered, and more grounded. The shift from reaction to response marks emotional maturity. It is the difference between being controlled by life and consciously navigating it. When you master the shift, your words gain clarity, your actions gain purpose, and your presence gains respect. Intelligence is not just what you know, it is how you behave when emotions arise. Peace is a choice, not a weakness. Many people believe that choosing peace means giving up, staying quiet, or allowing others to take advantage of them. This misunderstanding keeps people trapped in unnecessary conflict. In reality, peace requires far more strength and aggression. It demands self-awareness, restraint, and confidence. Anyone can react with anger, but it takes courage to remain peaceful when emotions are provoked. Choosing peace does not mean avoiding reality or suppressing feelings. It means acknowledging emotions without letting them control behavior. A peaceful person is fully aware of what is happening, but they refuse to let chaos enter their inner world. This refusal is not passive, it is intentional. It is the decision to protect mental clarity over emotional drama. Peace is often mistaken for silence, but silence can be powerful when it comes from clarity rather than fear. When someone chooses not to engage in conflict, it does not mean they lack an opinion or strength. It means they value their well-being more than momentary validation. This kind of silence communicates maturity. It shows that the person does not need to prove anything to anyone. Weakness seeks validation through loud reactions. Strength seeks stability. A peaceful person does not need to dominate a situation to feel secure. Secure. Their sense of worth is not dependent on winning arguments or being right. This inner stability is what makes peace powerful. When someone cannot be easily provoked, they become emotionally independent. Independence is never weakness. Peace also creates space for better decisions. In a peaceful state, the mind is clear and balanced. This clarity allows thoughtful responses instead of impulsive reactions. Problems are addressed with wisdom rather than force. Over time, people begin to trust and respect those who operate from calmness. They know that such individuals act from intention, not impulse. There is also a misconception that peaceful people lack boundaries. In truth, peace and boundaries go together. A peaceful person knows when to step back, when to speak, and when to walk away. They do not tolerate disrespect. They simply choose to address it without aggression. Their firmness is quiet, but it is unmistakable. Boundaries enforced calmly are often stronger than those enforced through anger. Choosing peace requires letting go of ego. Ego wants to win, to be right, to have the last word. Peace wants understanding and balance. Letting go of ego does not mean losing dignity. It means refusing to let pride dictate behavior. This inner freedom allows a person to remain composed even when misunderstood or criticized. Peace also has a ripple effect. Calmness influences environments and relationships. When one person chooses peace, tension often decreases around them. Their presence becomes grounding. Others may not notice it consciously, but they feel it. Peaceful individuals become anchors in chaotic situations. Ultimately, choosing peace is an act of self-respect. It is the recognition that your mental and emotional well-being matters. Weakness is losing control to emotions. Strength is choosing calm when provoked. When peace becomes a choice rather than a reaction, life becomes lighter, clearer, and more balanced. Peace is a choice, not a weakness. Many people believe that choosing peace means giving up, staying quiet, or allowing others to take advantage of them. This misunderstanding keeps people trapped in unnecessary conflict. In reality, peace requires far more strength than aggression. It demands self-awareness, restraint, and confidence. Anyone can react with anger, but it takes courage to remain peaceful when emotions are provoked. Choosing peace does not mean avoiding reality or suppressing feelings. It means acknowledging emotions without letting them control behavior. A peaceful person is fully aware of what is happening, but they refuse to let chaos enter their inner world. This refusal is not passive, it is intentional. It is the decision to protect mental clarity over emotional drama. Peace is often mistaken for silence, but silence can be powerful when it comes from clarity rather than fear. When someone chooses not to engage in conflict, it does not mean they lack an opinion or strength. It means they value their well-being more than momentary validation. This kind of silence communicates maturity. It shows that the person does not need to prove anything to anyone. Weakness seeks validation through loud reactions. Strength seeks stability. A peaceful person does not need to dominate a situation to feel secure. Their sense of worth is not dependent on winning arguments or being right. Right. This inner stability is what makes peace powerful. When someone cannot be easily provoked, they become emotionally independent. Independence is never weakness. Peace also creates space for better decisions. In a peaceful state, the mind is clear and balanced. Here and balanced. This clarity allows thoughtful responses instead of impulsive reactions. Problems are addressed with wisdom rather than force. Over time, people begin to trust and respect those who operate from calmness. They know that such individuals act from intention, not impulse. There is also a misconception that peaceful people lack boundaries. In truth, peace and boundaries go together. A peaceful person knows when to step back, when to speak, and when to walk away. They do not tolerate disrespect. They simply choose to address it without aggression. Their firmness is quiet, but it is unmistakable. Boundaries enforced calmly are often stronger than those enforced through anger. Choosing peace requires letting go of ego. Ego wants to win, to be right, to have the last word. Peace wants understanding and balance. Letting go of ego does not mean losing dignity. It means refusing to let pride dictate behavior. This inner freedom allows a person to remain composed even when misunderstood or criticized. Peace also has a ripple effect. Calmness influences environments and relationships. When one person chooses peace, tension often decreases around them. Their presence becomes grounding. Others may not notice it consciously, but they feel it. Peaceful individuals become anchors in chaotic situations. Ultimately, choosing peace is an act of self-respect. It is the recognition that your mental and emotional well-being matters. Weakness is losing control to emotions. Strength is choosing calm when provoked. When peace becomes a choice rather than a reaction, life becomes lighter, clearer, and more balanced. A calm mind sees solutions. An angry mind sees problems. This difference shapes how people experience the same situation in completely different ways. When the mind is calm, it has space. It can analyze, reflect, and understand. When the mind is angry, that space disappears. Everything narrows down to blame, defense, and emotional survival. The situation may be the same, but perception changes entirely. Anger creates mental noise. Thoughts race, assumptions multiply, and imagination fills gaps with negativity. In this state, even simple challenges appear overwhelming. The mind exaggerates the problem and minimizes possible solutions. Anger does not want resolution, it wants release. That is why angry thinking often circles around what went wrong instead of what can be done next. A calm mind operates from clarity rather than urgency. It does not rush to conclusions. It asks better questions. Instead of asking who's at fault, it asks, what is the best step forward? It asks, what is the best step forward? This shift changes the direction of energy from conflict to progress. Calmness allows the mind to step back and see the situation as a whole rather than reacting to one triggering detail. Solutions require creativity, and creativity cannot exist in emotional chaos. When anger dominates, the brain focuses on threat perception. This shuts down the part of the mind responsible for innovation and problem solving. That is why people often struggle to think clearly when they are angry. Calmness, however, reactivates insight. It opens the door to alternatives that were invisible before. Calmness also improves listening. An angry mind listens to respond. A calm mind listens to understand. Understanding reveals hidden layers of a problem. Many conflicts persist not because solutions are unavailable, but because people are too emotionally charged to hear each other. Calmness dissolves this barrier. When listening improves, solutions naturally emerge. Another strength of a calm mind is patience. Solutions often require time, experimentation, and adjustment. Anger demands immediate results. It creates pressure that leads to rushed decisions. These decisions may temporarily relieve frustration, but they often create bigger problems later. Calmness accepts the process. It allows room for learning and correction. A calm mind is also less personal. Anger makes everything about ego. Every obstacle feels like a personal attack. This emotional attachment blocks objective thinking. Calmness removes ego from the center. When ego steps aside, the problem becomes neutral. A neutral problem is easier to solve because it does not carry emotional weight. Calmness also strengthens resilience. And when faced with setbacks, a calm person does not collapse into frustration. They adapt, they learn, they adjust strategy. This flexibility is essential for long-term success. Anger, on the other hand, makes people rigid. It locks them into one perspective and resists change. In calmness, mistakes become lessons rather than sources of self-criticism or blame. This mindset transforms challenges into opportunities for growth. Over time, calm individuals become reliable problem solvers. People turn to them not because they are louder or more forceful, but because their clarity brings direction. When the mind is calm, problems lose their emotional charge. What remains is a situation waiting for a solution. Waiting for a solution. That shift from emotional reaction to thoughtful observation is where progress begins. Self-control is the highest form of success. Many people measure success by external achievements. Money, recognition, influence, or status. While these things may impress the world, they do not guarantee inner stability. A person can appear successful on the outside and still be completely controlled by impulses, emotions, and habits on the inside. True success begins where inner mastery is achieved. Self-control means the ability to choose long-term well-being over short-term emotional satisfaction. It is the strength to pause when anger demands reaction, to stay disciplined when temptation offers comfort, and to remain patient when frustration seeks expression. This ability does not come naturally. It is developed through awareness and constant practice. Yet once developed, it becomes a powerful foundation for every area of life. A person without self-control is easily manipulated. Their moods change based on circumstances. Their behavior shifts according to how others treat them. Praise makes them overconfident. Criticism breaks them. This emotional dependency keeps them trapped. No matter how talented or intelligent they are, lack of self-control limits their growth. You are demonstrating that you will not allow someone else's behavior to dictate your inner state. This is not about avoiding issues or being passive. It is about choosing how and when to invest your energy. Boundaries enforced with calm authority are far stronger than those enforced through confrontation. Moreover, when you stop reacting, you become more strategic. A reactive mind sees only immediate triggers and focuses on defending ego or venting frustration. A calm mind, however, evaluates the situation and chooses a response that aligns with long-term goals. You gain the ability to act with intent rather than impulse. Over time, this practice increases your influence because people notice that you are steady, composed, and not easily manipulated. Emotional independence is another consequence of stopping reaction. When you remain unaffected by provocation, praise, or criticism, you develop resilience. Life will always present challenges and unpredictable behaviors from others. The less you react, the less your emotional state is at the mercy of these factors. This resilience allows you to navigate social, professional, and personal landscapes with confidence and poise. When you stop reacting, your relationships also improve. Many conflicts arise not from the initial incident, but from the way people respond. Emotional explosions, defensiveness, and impulsive words damage trust and communication. By responding thoughtfully instead of reacting, you create an environment where constructive dialogue is possible. Others feel safe around you and trust is reinforced. Finally, stopping reaction cultivates inner peace. The less you give away control to others, the lighter your mental load becomes. You are no longer replaying every slight or provocation in your mind. Energy that would have been wasted on resentment, anger, or defensiveness is now available for growth, creativity, and meaningful action. The freedom that comes from reclaiming control over your reactions is profound and life-changing. In essence, stopping reaction is not about ignoring the world. It is about mastering your world. It shifts authority from external triggers to internal choice. When you achieve this, no one can dictate your peace, manipulate your emotions, or derail your focus. This is why mastering reaction is one of the most powerful steps toward true personal freedom and influence. Inner peace is the greatest victory you can achieve. Many people spend their entire lives chasing external achievements, money, status, recognition, or power, believing that these will bring fulfillment. Yet, without inner peace, even the greatest external success feels hollow. True victory is not about controlling circumstances or winning arguments. It is about mastering your mind and emotions so that your sense of well-being is independent of the world around you. Inner peace begins with understanding that the world will never be entirely fair or predictable. Life is filled with unexpected challenges, mistakes from others, misunderstandings and disappointments. Anger, frustration and resentment are natural reactions to these situations, but they are not inevitable. Choosing peace in the midst of chaos is the first sign of true strength. Oh, it is an active decision, not a passive state. Every time you refuse to give in to anger or fear, you win, not over someone else, but over yourself. When you cultivate inner peace, you stop giving external events the power to disturb you. A traffic jam, an insult, a delayed project, or criticism no longer controls your emotional state. Others' words and actions lose the ability to dictate how you feel. This is the essence of freedom. Peaceful people are not immune to life's challenges. They simply refuse to allow these challenges to invade their internal calm. They operate from clarity and balance, not from emotional reactivity. Inner peace also strengthens decision-making. When the mind is calm, it can think clearly, weigh options wisely, and act with intention. Anger clouds judgment and creates impulsive choices. Fear narrows vision and limits possibilities. Peace allows the mind to step back, evaluate, and respond in ways that are constructive rather than destructive. It is the foundation for not only emotional, but also practical success. Relationships improve significantly when you prioritize inner peace. Conflicts often escalate because people react emotionally rather than responding thoughtfully. A peaceful person brings stability into interactions. Their presence reduces tension, fosters understanding, and encourages mutual respect. By managing your inner state, you positively influence the external environment, creating healthier, more harmonious connections. Health is another important dimension. Anger, stress, and worry are known to have damaging effects on the body, raising blood pressure, weakening immunity, and increasing risk for various illnesses. Cultivating inner peace protects both mental and physical health. Calmness allows the nervous system to rest, the mind to recover, and the body to function optimally. In this sense, peace is not only a victory for the mind, but also a triumph for the body. Inner peace also enhances resilience. Life will inevitably present challenges, failures, and disappointments. Peace allows you to face these obstacles without being overwhelmed. Setbacks are no longer catastrophic events, but opportunities to learn, adapt, and grow. When your inner foundation is strong, external storms may blow, but you remain grounded and composed. This resilience is a sign of true mastery. Another dimension of inner peace is freedom from unnecessary comparisons and envy. When you are at peace, you do not measure your worth by others' achievements or approval. You are content with your own journey and decisions. This freedom from external validation brings confidence and stability that no worldly success can replace. Ultimately, inner peace is victory because it cannot be taken away. Status, wealth, and possessions can disappear. Respect from others can fade. Circumstances can change. But when peace resides within, it is untouchable, permanent, and unshakable. It is a victory that external circumstances cannot challenge. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and spiritually fulfilled individuals throughout history demonstrate that external success is fleeting, but inner mastery endures. When you reach the level where anger no longer controls you, fear no longer limits you, and chaos no longer disturbs you, you have truly won. This victory is profound because it transforms every aspect of life. Your relationships, your decisions, your health, and your overall experience of being alive. Inner peace is not just a state. It is the ultimate triumph of the human spirit. Boundaries enforced with calmness are often stronger than those enforced through anger. Many people believe that setting boundaries requires force, aggression, or loud confrontation. They imagine that unless they raise their voice or show visible displeasure, others will not take their limits seriously. However, true boundaries are not about intimidation. They are about clarity, consistency, and self-respect. When boundaries are maintained calmly, they communicate authority without creating resistance or resentment. A calm boundary sends a clear message. I respect myself and I expect the same from others. This message does not rely on fear or reaction. It relies on the observer recognizing that your peace is non-negotiable. People may test boundaries when anger dictates their enforcement, But calmness commands respect because it is deliberate, intentional, and unshakable. Unshakable. There is no overreaction, no unnecessary drama, and no emotional vulnerability that others can exploit. Calmness creates invisible strength that is far more compelling than noise or aggression. Enforcing boundaries calmly also encourages healthier interactions. When anger is used to set limits, the focus often shifts from the boundary itself to the emotional outburst. Others may feel attacked, defensive, or resentful. This can escalate conflicts rather than resolve them. Calm enforcement, however, separates the principle from the emotion. The person communicating the boundary is steady and clear, ensuring that the limit is understood without igniting unnecessary hostility. This approach is especially effective in relationships, workplaces, and parenting because it fosters understanding rather than fear. Consistency is another key advantage of calm boundaries. When anger is the primary tool, boundaries tend to be reactive and inconsistent. People may enforce limits one day with a loud confrontation and ignore them the next because they feel differently in the moment. Calm enforcement allows for uniformity. A calm person can repeat the boundary without emotional escalation, reinforcing the consistently. Over time, others learn to respect these limits because they are predictable, fair, and unwavering. Calm boundaries also protect mental energy. Reacting with anger consumes emotional and physical resources. It creates stress and often leads to regret or strained relationships. Calm enforcement, by contrast, preserves energy. By choosing composure, you maintain clarity and control over both your own mind and the situation. This energy can then be invested in more meaningful actions rather than wasted on managing conflict or regret. Another advantage of calm boundaries is that they set a model for others. When people witness someone handling limits with composure, they learn the power of restraint and self-respect. Calm enforcement teaches that strength does not have to be loud or aggressive. It demonstrates that influence and authority come from stability, clarity, and integrity rather than from intimidation or emotional outbursts. Calm boundaries also allow space for dialogue. Anger often shuts down conversation because it provokes defensiveness. Calmness, however, opens the possibility of negotiation and understanding. People are more willing to engage respectfully when they do not feel attacked. This does not mean compromising on your limits. It means establishing them in a way that encourages cooperation rather than resistance. Finally, calm boundaries strengthen personal identity. They reinforce the understanding that your peace and well-being are priorities. By enforcing limits without anger, you assert control over your emotional life. You communicate to yourself and others that you are guided by principles, not impulses. This internal alignment builds confidence and resilience, making it easier to maintain these boundaries consistently over time. In essence, calm boundaries are powerful because they combine clarity, consistency, and emotional intelligence. They protect your peace, earn respect, preserve energy, and foster healthy interactions. Unlike anger-driven boundaries, which are temporary and volatile, calm enforcement creates long-lasting authority and stability, allowing you to live with both dignity and inner strength. Anger gives an illusion of power, but in reality, it takes control away from you. When anger arises, it feels as though a surge of strength has entered your body. The heart races, adrenaline floods your system, and your voice becomes louder. In that moment, it seems like you are asserting authority, defending yourself, or demonstrating strength. Many people mistake this temporary emotional intensity for true power. It feels commanding because it is immediate, raw, and explosive. But the problem is that this energy is not controlled by you, it is controlled by your emotion. Instead of being a source of strength, anger hijacks your mind and dictates your behavior. True power is not loud or reactive, it is calm, deliberate, and measured. When anger dominates, you lose perspective. Your focus narrows to the source of frustration, and your ability to think clearly diminishes. Small irritations become enormous, and minor conflicts feel like major crises. In this state, words and actions are often regretted later because they were not chosen consciously. They were reactions. The very emotion that felt like strength in the moment leaves behind regret, tension, and disrupted relationships. This demonstrates that anger is never real power. It is a temporary illusion that leaves consequences in its wake. Anger also clouds judgment. Decisions made in anger are rarely rational. They are guided by the desire to vent, retaliate, or defend ego rather than by logic or foresight. A heated argument, a rash decision, or an impulsive action may seem justified in the moment, but often they create more problems than they solve. The temporary illusion of dominance fades quickly, replaced by remorse, guilt, or broken trust. True strength comes from maintaining clarity under pressure, not giving in to impulses that destroy stability and relationships. Another hidden cost of anger is the way it affects the body. The physiological response, elevated heart rate, high blood pressure, and a surge of stress hormones can have long-term consequences when repeated frequently. Chronic anger weakens immunity, disrupts sleep, and increases vulnerability to health issues. In contrast, self-control and composure conserve energy and maintain balance. This demonstrates that what feels like power in a moment of anger is actually a drain on both physical and mental resources. Anger also diminishes personal influence. People respect stability more than explosive reactions. Someone who loses control may intimidate momentarily, but that intimidation rarely builds lasting respect or trust. Calm, thoughtful behavior, on the other hand, commands attention and creates authority. The quiet strength of someone who does not react impulsively is far more influential than the loud force of anger. Over time, those who consistently act from clarity rather than emotion gain credibility, respect, and influence that anger cannot provide. Perhaps the most profound truth is that anger hands over control of your inner state to external circumstances. A harsh word, a rude action, or a frustrating event can immediately shift your mood, energy, and focus. By reacting with anger, you surrender authority over yourself. True power lies in maintaining composure despite provocation. When you can feel anger but choose how to act, you reclaim that control. You no longer allow external events or people to dictate your inner peace. Ultimately, anger is a false sense of strength that undermines real mastery. Real power is the ability to remain composed under stress, to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, and to protect your peace no matter what circumstances arise. The day you recognize that anger is a thief of control, that it only convinces you that you are powerful while secretly dominating your mind, is the day you begin to reclaim true authority over your life. This awareness transforms every interaction, every decision, and every moment, turning apparent weakness into enduring strength. Calm people carry silent strength and natural authority. Unlike those who feel the need to assert dominance through loudness, aggression, or constant reaction, calm individuals radiate a presence that is quietly compelling. This authority does not depend on fear, intimidation, or displays of power. It emerges from inner stability and self-mastery. When a calm person enters a room, people instinctively notice a sense of steadiness. There is no chaos in their energy, no impulsive reaction waiting to erupt, only a measured, thoughtful presence that draws attention and inspires trust. The power of calmness comes from control. While anger is loud and reactionary, calmness is deliberate and intentional. A calm person observes before acting, weighs the situation, and chooses a response that aligns with both values and desired outcomes. This thoughtful approach allows them to maintain authority without creating unnecessary conflict. People listen to calm individuals because they convey confidence without aggression. Their words carry weight because they are carefully considered, not impulsively expressed. Calmness also fosters reliability. When people know that a person will remain composed in any situation, they begin to trust them instinctively. Friends, colleagues, and peers feel safe in their presence. This trust becomes a form of influence. Others are more likely to seek guidance, follow advice, or respect decisions. Unlike loudness or anger, which may intimidate but rarely earn genuine respect, calmness builds lasting authority through consistency and integrity. Another dimension of calm authority is emotional resilience. Calm individuals are less likely to be triggered by provocations, criticism, or stressful circumstances. Their stability allows them to handle challenges thoughtfully rather than reactively. In doing so, they demonstrate control over their own emotional state, which is perhaps the most powerful form of influence. People instinctively recognize and respect the strength it takes to remain composed under pressure. Calmness also enhances problem-solving abilities. An agitated mind focuses on blame and frustration, whereas a composed mind sees options, evaluates solutions, and identifies paths forward. This clarity attracts others because it brings stability to chaos. Leaders, mentors, and individuals who consistently operate from calmness are often seen as pillars in their communities, workplaces, or social circles. Their authority is not forced. It is earned through presence, consistency, and the quiet power of self-control. Ultimately, calmness is a reflection of inner mastery. It signals that the individual is not ruled by external events, opinions, or provocations. Instead, they choose how to act in every moment, prioritizing wisdom, clarity, and intentionality. While anger and loudness may create temporary impressions of strength, true authority comes from stability, presence, and the silent confidence that one's inner world is not easily shaken. This is the power that lasts, a natural authority that others respect and admire, often without a single word being shouted.